Famous raccoon just helped raise thousands of dollars. And it's all thanks to one painting. I'm Bethany on the King News Desk. If you've spent any time online, you've probably seen Jimothy, this iconic Ballard raccoon known for his unique appearance. And now, he's inspiring generosity throughout Seattle. Local artist Ryan Henry Ward painted Jimothy and pledged 100% of the proceeds to the Ballard Food Bank, saying this organization helped him through some of his toughest times. The winning bid for this painting was $6,543.21, and every dollar is going straight to the food bank.
What am I looking at?
That is a great question, and the confusion could be forgiven as videos of an oddly shaped raccoon wandering around Seattle have taken the town and the internet by storm. The confounding critter, known to locals for its unique and spherical shape, has been caught on camera all around town and was nicknamed Jimothy by at least one witness. But why Jimothy?
Me and my husband saw him and he looked like a Jimothy to us.
Fair enough. He looks like something, that's for sure. That's not to minimize Jimothy's exceptionality, though. Folks online sure aren't, where the rotund and rascally raccoon has achieved legendary status, complete with its own fantastical fan art.
Hold me until someone tells me yes.
Shit's getting weird. Part infinity. There's only one thing right now that would break the internet, in my opinion. There's many things that could break the internet, but only one thing is worthy in this current moment. Get Tilly, the friendly loaf, to collaborate with Jimothy, the raccoon's coon. This collaboration, the world would stop. Wars would halt. Ceasefires would exist. Not really, but you know what I'm saying. I would pay good money to see this collaboration. Actually, I wouldn't. I want to see it for free. I don't want to pay money. This would be interesting because why do they look exactly the same? He's been on the internet forever. He's existed, but we didn't know about him until now. I don't know anything about this one. This one seems cool. I don't know. He is a raccoon. So if they meet, it could be deadly. But also, it could be fun. Get a hold of Jimothy's manager. This would be great for the internet. You know, some good, wholesome content. We need some good, wholesome content right now. You know what I'm saying? Shit be getting weird, part infinity. And Jimothy and Tilly collaborating would be great. Netflix, set up the documentary. I want to see it.
Shalom. First and foremost, as always, we want to give all praises, all honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shah, Bahashem, Rachah Kodash. Double honors and salutations to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone. Much respect to you brothers out on the highways and byways, pushing this truth with fear and sincerity, and shalom to the hopeful elect. It's your brother Khalak Har coming back at you with another video, and this will be quick. You know, just some folly that's going on over here in Pacific Northwest, Seattle to be exact. You got a deformed raccoon running around, and people are raising thousands upon thousands of dollars for it. They're turning their attention to it. They're glorifying it, you know, and bringing it to the light. And people, you know, with all the things that's happening in the earth today, you know, this is more, you know, something that should be put on the forefront. And people get their time, their energy, right? It's just folly, complete folly, right? Who is Jimothy? It's a viral round raccoon explained, right? This raccoon don't have a neck. He just got a body, you know, torso or whatever, and a head. And he's running around, as you saw in the pictures, the videos that started it, you know, and he don't raise over $50,000, you know, for a painting, a mural, right? And it's just complete folly, right? Complete folly. As a matter of fact, Ecclesiastes 10:6 says, "Folly is set in great dignity, and the rich sit in low places." Right? Folly is set in great dignity. In the NLT, it says, when they give great authority to foolishness, right? Great authority, right? They praising this deformed, dangerous, disease-having, animal, you know, it's very clever and mischievous. It's trash bandit. They praising this thing, and it's foolishness, right? It's just an animal that's deformed, and it's getting so much praise and likes, and people are moved by it. People are making murals. People are, donating thousands of dollars. They're creating clip art. You got to save this, and as a matter of fact, let's read this little tiny from Forbes real quick. It says, who or what is Jimothy? Social media has become obsessed with an oddly shaped raccoon from Seattle. Here's everything you need to know. And obsessed. They got demons on them. Preoccupied. Preoccupancy. Hold on, let me see something. Prey on somebody's mind. Prey, possess, hunt, consume, plague, torment, hound, be devil, take control of, take over, become obsessed with, have a large hold on, engross, eat up, have a grip on, grip, dominate, rule. So, this is, people are got demons on them, man. With all the things, like I was saying, with all the things that's happening in the earth today, all right, with war, with pestilence, with the technology, the MOTB is being built, the infrastructure, these data centers, all these things. But this over here in the Pacific Northwest is making headlines every night. Every night, this thing is on the TV. You even Google Jimothy, a damn raccoon will run across the damn screen, right? So, people are, so, demented, and just looking for anything to bring them comfort, because there's no comfort in Babylon the Great, right? There's no, your grocery bills are high, your gas bill, your paying at the pump is rising again, right? You can't even live on a minimum wage to stay in a 2-bedroom apartment. Car insurance. You got to fix your car. You got to maintain your car. You name it, right? It's all looking bad for the typical everyday Babylonian Edomite or Babylonian Israelite, Edomite. It don't matter. The typical everyday, and when I say typical everyday, it's the ones that don't have this knowledge, this truth, this wisdom, this understanding. It's bad. So they feast their eyes. They look at stuff like this, and it becomes, a safe haven, right? Something they can believe in or trust in, or put their feelings behind to make them feel better about the situation that they're living in, because everything else is just, is whack. Says, you may have seen clips of the strangely circular creatures scurrying across your timeline. It's not an AI-generated monstrosity, but Jimothy. It says, Jimothy is a uniquely shaped raccoon who has won the hearts of social media users, attracting a dedicated online fandom. From Fairly Gothmother, MD, medical doctor, says, I'm genuinely so afraid of him because he's just out in the open and people are insane. If anything happens to Jimothy, you see that right there, right? Which we're not supposed to do that, right? But how you gonna? What are you gonna do, huh? What are you gonna do, right? Eagle can come eat that thing, or bald eagle can come out of nowhere, or a vulture can come pick that thing up and tear it to shreds if it wanted to, right? It says a rare short-spined raccoon named Jimothy is on the move in Seattle, right? And this is what people, feast there. Like I said, feast there, the safe haven. Forget spices or spies, Salakia. I'd go to war for Jimothy, right? Raccoon, right? Them, a resident of Seattle, Jimothy's striking appearance is a result of a condition subject to be a short spine syndrome, a rare deformity that results in a round body shape and short limbs, which, pertaining to the law, I know the law don't got nothing to do with a raccoon, but, in the law, even, people with deformities, individual with deformities and whatnot, people with, broken limbs and, blindness, they can't even present to the Lord. They can't even present to the Lord as food. As a matter of fact, I was already going here. Leviticus 21, start at 16. I'm gonna do it in the NLT so it can, you can understand it a little bit more. Leviticus 21 and 16 says, and then the Lord said to Moses, Yahweh said unto Moses, give the following instructions to Aaron. In all future generations, none of your descendants who has any defect will qualify to offer food to his power. It says, no one who has a defect qualifies, whether he is blind, lame, disfigured, deformed, or has a broken foot or arm, or is a hunchback or dwarfed, or has a defective eye, or skin sores or scabs, or damaged testicles. No descendants of Aaron has a defect may approach the altar to present special gifts to Yahweh. Since he has a defect, he may not approach the altar to offer food to his power, right? And so you don't think, that applies to the animals as well. And I'm not saying that this animal needs to be sacrificed or he was something that it's just looking at this mess and glorifying it, right? Looking at some mess and glorifying it, right? Leviticus 22 and 19, again in the NLT. Hold on, no, let me see something. Yeah, I'm gonna start at 19. Leviticus 22 and 19 says, you will be accepted only if your offering is a male animal with no defects. It may be a bull, a ram, or a male goat. Now, like I was just saying, like this has nothing to do with the raccoon. It's just looking at this animal and putting it on such a high status when we as Israelites in the ancient times when we had to sacrifice, you couldn't even look at it, have a deformed animal or something with a defect or anything like that around. Now, granted, this raccoon, he's raised some money for a food bank and whatnot. But why does it take a deformed raccoon to do all that, right? It shouldn't take that. People should be able to give food and should be no homelessness and anything like that. It shouldn't have to come to a deformed animal for this things to happen. So that's why I read Ecclesiastes 10 and 6, it says, folly is set in great dignity. It says, do not present an animal with defects because Yahweh will not accept it on your behalf. If you present a peace offering to the Lord from the herd or the flock, whether it is to fulfill a vow or it is to voluntary offering, you must offer a perfect animal. It may have no defects of any kind. You must not offer any animal that is blind, crippled, or injured, or that has a wart, a skin sore, a scab. Such animals must never be offered on the altar as special gifts to Yahweh. It says if a bull or a lamb has a leg that is too short or too long or too short, it may be offered as a voluntary offer, but it may not be offered to fulfill a vow. If an animal has damaged testicles or castrated, you may not offer it to the Lord. You must never do this in your own land, and you must not accept such an animal from foreigners and then offer it as a sacrifice into your power. Such animals will not be accepted on your behalf, for they are mutilated or defective, right? So again, like I was just making a reference to, even, you can't look at these animals. I mean, somebody look at this and, and it's, women, emotional. They see something that's, need help or something like that, and they make a big fuss about it. Right? That thing had been living around for years, and the Lord chooses, stupid things to confound this world, or the wisdom of this world is crap, man. This is 1 Corinthians 3:16. It says, "Know ye not that the temple of the Heavenly Father and the Spirit of the Heavenly Father dwelleth in you? If any man defile the temple of the Heavenly Father, him shall the Heavenly Father destroy. For the temple of the Heavenly Father is holy, which temple ye are." It says, "Let no man deceive himself. If any man among you seems to be wise in this world, let him become a fool, that he may be wise." Right? Should have just started at 18. But, in this world, Esau's Edom's world, his age, stuff like this seems to be wise, right? Or you give them, care to a defective animal. Don't get me wrong. I love animals. I got dogs and cats, right? I got dogs and cats. I love my dogs and cats, man. I take care of them. I feed them. I walk them. I make sure they have what they need and whatnot. I'm not cruel to them. I might yell at them or, poke the, flick them, to get their mind right or something like that. But for the most part, it's hard for me to, I mean, I'm not going to look at a deformed cat and be like, yeah, I want you, or something along those lines. A dog missing a third, a leg, it'd be like, oh yeah, I want that dog, or something like that. Verse 19, it says, I think here's the point. It says, "For the wisdom of the world is foolishness with the Heavenly Father, for it is written, He taketh the wise in their own craftiness." Right? It says, "And again, the Lord knoweth the thoughts of the wise, and they are vain." Right? So the foolishness of this world is not with the Heavenly Father. The wisdom of this world is foolishness with the Heavenly Father, right? Right, because like I said, parading this deformed raccoon around, it's just madness, man. It don't mean anything. It ain't did anything. Like I said, they could have raised food for that bank, is any other way. They could have been did that. They could have, somebody just said, I want to give some money to this food bank, They could have been did that. But no, it took a deformed, no neck having raccoon that's running around Seattle, minding his own business, not doing anything, right? Just, doing what a raccoon does, scavenging for food, not doing anything, not, bothering anybody, but, let these people have it, man. Are raccoons dangerous? Yes, raccoons can be dangerous because they have sharp teeth and claws and can carry serious disease like rabies and may attack if they feel cornered or protecting their babies. It says, is it dangerous to have raccoons in your yard? Yes, raccoons in your yard can be dangerous because they carry diseases, have sharp teeth and claws, and can attack pets, or people when concerned. So I hope the Lord, send Jimothy, or whatever his name is, and attack one of you stupid motherfuckers while y'all trying to record him. You got too close and tried to pet him or some stupid ass shit, and you just reach out and bite your fucking finger, bite your damn neck off or some shit like that. And you got rabies or some shit, for fucking with the damn animal. But anyways, like I said, it was going to be quick, straight to the point. Shalom.